I'm doing something that I normally do not do, which is that I'm filming in the evening time. It is actually close to being 9 p.m. I'm having a glass of red wine and I am going to talk to you about the 12 books that I read in October. Quite a lot of books for being me in a month. I usually do not read that many books, but I had some really entertaining books and I did fly through quite a few books and I want to talk about how I felt about them. And let me have a sip of wine. First things first, so last month I did do this vlog style. If you didn't, I got some really good feedback. I got a lot of people really loving it. I got some people thinking it was a little bit disorganized, and every time you start something new, I agree. Every time you start something new, it always takes a little bit of time before you streamline it, and I did really enjoy doing the vlog style content, and I do want to try that again in the future, but I have had a really chaotic month. I've made some really big life changes and there are some even more big life changes coming up. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to revert back to sitting down, doing my reading wrap-ups, sitting down, talking to you. And in the future, we can explore more options because I do want to do those kind of like, you know, giving updates in the moment, but I just want to make sure I can make it even better. And I knew, because again, my life is pretty chaotic. I'm filming at 9 p.m. Clearly, my life is a little bit chaotic, and I was like, I want to make sure that I do it even better next time. So we're putting that on ice for a little bit. We're putting a pin in it. We'll definitely do it again in the future, but now I'm just going to sit down and talk about the 12 books that I read. So out of these 12 different books, I did read 4,628 pages, which I think is really good for a month. I had an average rating of 3.75, which is good, but not great. We had a couple of books that like pulled down the average. I read all 5 books on my TBR, and then I read 7 books that was not on my TBRs. I was able to read 7 mood reads last month, and that was really amazing. I had 6 physical books that I read, and then I read 6 books that was either audio or Kindle. I have been really into audiobooks. I did not used to like audiobooks. I literally was the person that was like, I don't love audiobooks. I kind of reverted back to audiobooks when it was books that I kind of was bored with and I was just trying to kind of like get through them, because I don't like DNF books either, because there are books that I've changed my mind about through the end of the book, and I don't want to give up on a book, because also like a lot of people, I mean, they put years into writing a book. What do I mean? I can't put like a week into finishing it. I'm not weak like that. So that's just my opinion. Nobody needs to share that. But I will say I've been really enjoying audiobooks, and I've found ways of listening to them, and I've also found audiobook like narrators that I've really been enjoying. So I'm going to talk about a couple of those as well. When it comes to ratings, I did give 2 different books a 5-star. I gave a 4-star to 6 books. Then I gave a 3-star to 3 books and a 2-star to 1 book. For me, a 3-star is a decent book. I was entertained. I didn't hate the book. Overall, I thought it was a decent experience. I liked it. It's like getting a pass. Like the book is getting a pass. A 3-star is still a good book for me. A 2-star is when I'm like, I'm starting to have some issues and I'm not like thoroughly enjoying the experience. And when I put stars as well, I don't always necessarily give too much thought into, oh, this book is so poorly written. I have no training in that. My degree is in environmental science. I know nothing about creative writing, and sometimes the writing can get me off when it's too repetitive or I don't like the writing, but sometimes bad writing can still be entertaining. So for me, it's not always bad. I feel like the writing has to be really bad for me to notice. I'm gonna be honest. If it's for me, if I'm entertained, if I learned something, if it moved me, if it got me thinking, I still think it's a nice book. So the genres that I read, it's 4 different fantasy books. Fantasy is usually the genre I read the most in. 3 sci-fi books, which is very unusual for me, 2 contemporary romances, 1 cowboy romance, and 3 paranormal books. And these paranormal books were all in the same series. And I have some thoughts about actually that series. Should we start with that? Can we start with that? I brought up my Kindle so that we can look at those books, because I read, what is the series actually called? It is written by Tessa Hale, and it is a trilogy. Let me see what the name of the books were. Crescent Kingdom, Eclipsed Empire, and Rising Rain. I read another trilogy by Tessa Hale, and I gave the whole trilogy a 3-star. These are quick books that you get through really easily, and they're very spicy. Even though they are spicy, there still is a plot, and these are why choose paranormal romances. So if you are not into that, these might not be for you. These are pretty spicy, but I was thinking, I actually read these when I was traveling. We had a little family vacation. We did like a long weekend to the north of California, went to Yosemite, and we went to Sequoia, and we saw some redwood forests. And I was like reading this as like a little entertaining things in between different sites. And I really did enjoy it until I got to the last book. So I gave the 2 first books a 3-star, and I gave the 3rd book actually a 2-star. Because here's the thing, Tessa Hale, again, the series is a girl is fleeing from her dad, and she is like half a magic like spellcaster, half a wolf shapeshifter, and she finds her mates, plural, and again trying to escape from her dad. The thing is, she already wrote this trilogy. This is the exact same plot as it was in the first trilogy that I read from Tessa Hale, and I gave that trilogy a 3-star. And the reason why I gave this one a 2-star, the last one, is because I was like, okay, it's getting too repetitive. It's all the same plot. And it is a shame, because I do think that Tessa Hale has a way of writing short books that are spicy and entertaining and thrilling, but it just was like, babe, you already wrote this. This is the same plot. Same girl, same mates, same dad, same plot. It's all the same. Everything is so reminiscent of the first series, to the point where I'm like, this didn't need to be. So I got very disappointed when I got to book 3 and realized it's all exactly the same. Not all exactly the same, but it's too similar. Even the guys are kind of the same as in the first book. And I'm just like, the first trilogy. I was a little bit disappointed, and that's why I gave the last book a 2-star, because I was like, listen, I've seen this. I've seen this story. I don't need to see it again. So that's why I gave that one a 2-star. Overall, if you're looking for an easy breezy page turner that's only like 250 pages each book, just in between maybe some heavy books, I do recommend it. But I will say you don't need to read both trilogies, because they're pretty much the same thing. The cowboy romance that I read is Chasing the Wild. I don't have that book here. Let me see if I still have it in my library. So Chasing the Wild is the first book in a series, and this is a cowboy romance, and this is by Elliot Rose. And I am pretty sure I gave this a 3-star. Yes, there is a couple things in this book that made me give this a 3-star instead of a 4-star, and it is minor details about the characters that I didn't love. Some of it was her giving up "I'm not like other girls" vibes, and I don't like that, because I do think that there's nothing wrong with I'm like other girls. I love being like other girls. I love having girlfriends, and it was giving off that vibe, and sometimes these books are doing that so hard, and it's like, stop trying to put some women down by lifting others up. We don't need to do that. We can all be girls, okay? We can be that. We don't need to be like, oh, I'm so special. I don't even wear makeup. I like hanging out with the guys. It's like, we don't need to do that, okay? It's 2025. Let's leave that in the 90s, okay? We don't need to do that. And also, this book is not really a slow burn. It's pretty on. They get together in like 1/3 into the book, and then there's just a big chunk of just spice. And she wrote the book in a way where the plot kind of takes a pause. And I get why she did that in the book, but for me, I am just like, okay, it's just a big chunk of spice, and it's a shame because I didn't dislike the plot of the book. The plot of the book is that there is this woman, she broken up with this guy, and she's just trying to return this box of things to her ex-boyfriend. So she finds his address, she turns up, she's gonna leave the box of things, and it turns out that the guy that she's been randomly flirting with at a gas station is her ex-boyfriend's dad. You fill in the blanks. So this is a girl that ends up dating her ex-boyfriend's dad, and I do enjoy the plot of this. The big chunk of spice in the middle where plot just left the chat for a long bit. Didn't love that, and I also didn't love the little sprinkles of not like other girls. There is a second book, and the plot of that book is wild. So I did actually download that to my Kindle because I was like, wait, I need to read this because it's like it seemed to be an even bigger age gap, and this age gap wasn't even that bad, but like, yeah, I'm interested to see where that one will take us. Oh, let me see what other books I read on my Kindle. Wait, let me actually do this one, because this one is one of the contemporary romances I read, because this one is also Girl Dates Ex-Boyfriend's Dad, and this is Wild Card by Elsie Silver. I gave this one a 4-star. I think this is the last book in the, what is this series called? Rose Hill. I did actually enjoy this one. I thought it was a really good one. Again, the age gap wasn't that bad, and I did enjoy like kind of the conflict and the plot of between the dad and the son, because there was more plot between the dad and the son in this one than in the other one that I talked about. I thought it was a fun contemporary romance. The reason for me why this isn't a 5-star is that the girl for me is incredibly unrelatable to me. And not everybody needs to be like relatable to me. I'm probably not relatable to all of you watching here, but I found myself, sometimes you read a book and you're like, oh, this could be a friend. If we met in real life, we'd be friends. We wouldn't be friends. She is like a woo-woo girl, heal your inner crystal child with yoga. And that's lovely, but not for me. So even though I do enjoy that there's a very different main character in this book, I'm not saying I disliked her. I'm just saying we wouldn't be besties. And that's about that. It's really dark in this room, okay? This lighting is giving all kinds. Okay, let's do the other contemporary romance I read. This was also part of my TBR list, and this is It Happened One Summer by Tessa Bailey. This was the last book I read this month, and I gave this one a 4-star. I did really enjoy this book. This is like a LA socialite gets into trouble. Her dad cuts her off and says, listen, I'm gonna send you out to the town where you were born, and you just stay there for a bit, 3 months I think, and just think about what you did, okay? Try to just find the meaning of life and just be a little bit less of a spoiled brat. So she goes there and she meets this fisherman guy. I did really enjoy this one. There was a couple of parts at the end that dragged it down for me. I'm not going to give any spoilers, of course, but there's a couple of parts at the end that dragged it down for me, where I just felt like it all almost became a little bit too like overly dramatic, Hollywoody. I also have I have a hard time with contemporary romances that are too, this could be anyone. This was not really that, of course, because she is like a socialite and she was like, brought up rich and stuff. But these like small town romances, they don't always hit home for me, because sometimes I just have a hard time being interested in people that are too similar to people I might know in my real life. And not that I'm not interested in those people in my real life. I'm just saying, why wouldn't I just hang out with them then? If they're giving the same stories. This says a lot about the kind of people I know in real life. Listen, I've lived a wild life, okay? I'm just saying it takes a lot for a contemporary romance to be a 5-star for me. And I don't even know if there's any contemporary romances that I've given a 5. Actually, Wild Eyes. Wild Eyes by Elsie Silver. That was a good one. I did enjoy it though. I thought it was a really good book. It just wasn't a 5-star. And I think the things that happened at the end, again, there was a couple of things that just like, they kind of threw it in there just to make it more dramatic. And I'm like, I don't know if we needed that. Why did I say that I had 3 sci-fis? I do not have 3 sci-fis. I have 2 sci-fis, right? 2 sci-fis and 4 fantasies. Why did I say that? That was weird. I don't know how to count. Okay, so I've done that one. I'm looking at my October reads to make sure that I take all of them. Let's talk about the sci-fis that I read then. The first one I read, again, this was also on my TBR. This is the Murderbot Diaries. The first one, All Systems Red by Marta Wells. This is a really short book. I read this in one day. This is about a guy. He is a security AI robot. He calls himself the Murderbot, and he literally hacked his own system so he can pick and choose what commands he has to command. So he is a free agent, he's a bit of a rogue, but he doesn't want anyone to know. And instead of doing his job as a security robot, he basically just downloads a lot of like TV series and books and music and just entertains himself throughout the day. Pretty bored. And then something happens on one of the missions that he is a security robot on. It is a scientific mission, and a lot of things happen, and this is like a sci-fi comedy. I did really enjoy the book. I thought it was a very, very entertaining book, and I can totally see why they've made this into a TV series. I see the appeal of making this into a TV series because, again, the Murderbot, he calls himself a Murderbot, very entertaining. I gave this one a 4-star. I thought it was a great book. This, for me, was not a 5-star because I felt, again, it's very short, and I kind of like, I don't know what else I would have wanted, but I felt like the ending of it, I felt like the plot was not thick enough for it to be a 5-star. Maybe that's how I should put it. This one, though, if this is not one of the best books I've ever read in my life, I gasped. I shouted at the book. I hollered. I howled. I like cackled. This is Golden Sun by James Pierce Brown. Pierce Brown, that's his name. Not James Pierce. Pierce Brown. This is like a 6-star book. This is such a good book. There is a chapter. What is it like? What, I think it's chapter 13. No, it's chapter 12. Chapter 12 is the most unhinged piece of literature I have read in my entire life. And I mean that in the most loving way. The kind of brain you have to think about chapter 12, I cannot even imagine. I cannot fathom thinking about something like that. I cannot tell you what this book is about because this is the second book. The first book is Red Rising. Red Rising is basically a guy, he's working in a mine, and through him losing his wife, he realizes that he is actually not part of the first people to populate Mars, and he is not going to be the ones who inherit the Earth. Mars has already been populated. They are being kept as slaves underground, and that's how the book starts. The first part of the book is him just realizing his entire life is a lie. He is not here to populate Mars. They're just being kept as slaves. And this is the second book in the series, and Be Still My Heart, this book is so good. Like I said, the intrigue of this book, the plot of this book, to be able to think about the things that are happening in this book, this is a great book. Is this not being a TV series? Is nobody buying this? This would make such a good TV series. This could be the next Expanse. I shook it to the core reading this book. Absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. Political intrigue in sci-fi. It's a really good book. Okay, let's do the fantasy book that I read first, and then we can do the ones that I listened to. This is Bridget Knightley's The Irresistible Urge to Fall for Your Enemy. I'm pretty sure that this is Draco and Hermione fanfic that has been scrubbed of everything copyrighted and been trad-pubbed. This is a very realistic fantasy. It takes place in our world, but it's just a different world hidden beside, like underneath our world. And she is a healer, he is a assassin, and they are most definitely enemies. And I will tell you, they are enemies throughout pretty much this entire book. It is a enemies to lovers, but not really, because if you're expecting any kind of spice or love, settle down for disappointment, okay? Because this is the slowest of slow burns, to the point where there's really not much going on, but I do really enjoy this book. I gave this one a 4-star. This is a very humoristic book, almost written in the way, Assistant to the Villain. Is that what it's called? Assistant to the Villain? I'm popping it up here somewhere. This one has a similar writing style to that one, where it's like almost like, I don't want to say slapstick humor, but it is very witty and written in a way that it's meant to be like comic banter back and forth. And I did really enjoy it, but at times, and the reason why I gave this a 4-star and not a 5-star, because I did enjoy the plot, I do think it's almost too simplistic written in a way that I imagine the author trying this to make it feel like it's like back and forth banter, but sometimes it's almost too simplistic written in a point where I'm like, okay, there could have been a little bit more shush to the writing. I say again, as someone who clearly has no credentials judging anyone's language. This is an assassin who has a disease that is uncurable, so he goes to the best healer, and the healers hate the assassins. Easy like plot. So she really does not want to help him. She kind of wants to kill him, and he basically says, I will fund your research project that nobody wants to fund if you at least try and save me. So they're having this back and forth trying to figure out a cure for him, but at the same time there's this plot in the background where it's like, why doesn't anybody want to fund this research? Why are all these kids getting this mystical disease and nobody wants to cure it, nobody wants to fund it, nobody wants to find out anything, and it just ends up being a side plot. And for most of this book, these characters do hate each other, but it's in a comical way. I read the first 3 books in the Plated Prisoner series by Raven Kennedy. So the first book is Guild, and then I also read Glint and Gleam, and I listened to all 3 of these back to back to back. And I will say, the voice actors for these series is really, really good. I gave Guild a 4-star, I gave Glint a 4-star, and I gave Gleam a 5-star. So here's what I will say about this series. This is not easy breezy. This has a lot of trauma, a lot of assault, and a lot of really questionable things happening on paper. It is rough in these streets, okay? If you have a heart, like, read, for the love of everything, read the warnings, because it is definitely really rough things going on paper in this book. Several occasions that's really hard to read and grasp. I give the first and the second book a 4-star because I think the first and the second book could have been one book, and I think some things could have been cut. I know she is trying to explain the backstory of the characters and why she starts in a certain way and ends in a different way, because I am now listening to book 4 and she has had quite the journey. So this is a King Midas retelling, but it more interesting than what you just imagine. So there is this woman, she's being held in a cage with King Midas, and she is gilded. And the plot of the story is that he says that he gilded her to be his favorite, they call it saddle, but his favorite concubine. Let's just put it like that and hope I don't get demonetized. There is a lot of, like I said, rough stuff happening, and she is incredibly naive and controlled and manipulated by this man, and her journey going from that to a strong, independent woman happens on paper in these books. And I will say the character development is great. A lot of things, of course, happen, and I can't really say all that's happening, but there are some really great characters in these books. And there is different point of views in this book, and sometimes you get to get the point of view of the villains, which I do find really refreshing. I do like seeing inside the head of the villains. The reason why I don't think this entire book series is a 4-star is the main reason why I gave the first book and the second book a 4-star is that sometimes the author has a tendency of over-explaining herself. I think that some parts, I get where you're coming from. You're trying to be thorough and explain everything, but I do think that some things could have been trimmed down a little bit. There are some chapters that just keep going, and I'm just like, I get it. Like, I get it, you're trying to explain every detail, but you're turning into Tolkien, where you're just explaining like a piece of grass for like 2 pages, and can we get on with the show? I do think that there is a limit to where we are over explaining ourselves and repeating ourselves in a way that's just not productive for the progression of the story. With that being said, I'm still fully enjoying it. Like I said, I'm listening to the 4th book, so I'm clearly really, really enjoying the series, enjoying the characters, and I do think we have a Manon 2.0 in this. If you have read Throne of Glass, you know the character arc that Manon makes in these books, going from a villain to, well, something different. And I do think that there is a different character in this books. Again, I don't want to give it away, but there is a character in this books. You're getting that perspective throughout these books that I think is going to have a similar character arc as Manon, and I'm excited to see where that plot is going. I'm excited to see where we're going with that one, because I think we're in for some character development with that character, and I'm really enjoying the series. I'm loving the characters, and the audiobook is great. The acting is great. The characters, the voices are amazing. Definitely, if you're into audiobooks, I definitely recommend listening to this one. I think it's a great audiobook. Not all audiobooks are created equal, but I do enjoy this series as an audiobook. So let me know what you think about these books. Let me know what you read in October. Did you read something that you're like, oh, you really, really should be reading this? As I'm filming this, we're actually a little bit into October, and I have read a couple of books already. Like I said, my life is pretty chaotic right now. I'm doing the best I can, but I am still enjoying reading, and I did pick up quite a few books when I went to the Romantasy Book Con in Orlando. So if you want to see what books I picked up, and if you want to see my books for my TBR list of October, those videos are already live on my channel. If you want to see more book videos, please don't forget to subscribe. I would love to have you here again. I will link everything in the description box down below, and also I have links down below to my Instagram and to my Goodreads if you want to keep up with my reading as it's happening. I was gonna say IRL, but that's definitely not what I meant. But I hope you're having a great day, and I'll see you soon in a new video.